Hey everyone, it's the Recharge Boys. You got Ryan and Grant, and then we've got a special guest today, Donald. Is it Donald, or do you want to be called Deej? I know you've got a few different
Deej.
variations.
Everyone calls me Deej. Donald is like what they called me at school, and my dad is called Donald, so I'm Deej.
When you get
Deej it is.
Yeah.
And Deej, do you want to kind of just chuck out your social handle so people can give you a follow if they fancy it?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram and on Facebook at DeejPT, so DWJPT.
Good man. Cool. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a quick few minute chat, get to know you a little bit, understand more about your background and kind of what you're doing in terms of kind of the PT. And then we've got 10 killer questions, which I've refused to help you with. I'm not going to give you no prep. So you're going to be under pressure. They're going to be difficult, and we're going to see you sweat a little bit.
Okay.
So cool. In terms of then, like what you're up to now, obviously you're a personal trainer. Do you want to talk us a bit around that?
Yeah, so I've been a on the floor gym trainer since 2012. Graduated from university with sport and exercise degree. When I got my level 3, like basically straight after graduation, and started working in gyms as a face-to-face coach. So what's that, coming up to 10 years? I've worked in a number of different gyms, from your big box gyms to some like private health kind of like centers. I got quite good results, to the point where then I kind of like I wanted to go off and do my own thing and be self-employed, just because the last employed position I had wasn't well managed, let's put it that way. The only problem with that was I had to give up all my transformation photos, because while I worked for them, they technically owned the copyright to all those images. So I had to completely start again from scratch in, I think it was August 2019. Luckily, I had a couple of existing clients that kind of like came with me, set up with my home gym. So I got a multi-gym system from Argos, I think it was, like one of the Marcy multi-gym things. I had a barbell and some plates and stuff that I'd had for ages in a squat rack, and I set up in my garage really, and everything was going great until February, March 2020, when obviously lockdown kicked in. So in a week, I went from doing 20 to 25 sessions a week to doing 0. So very, very quickly, luckily, I had invested in a mentor in expanding my online coaching side of stuff, because I could see that was the way the industry was going anyway. So I just wanted a little bit of support kind of with that. Luckily, I'd literally just paid for a year-long mentorship as lockdown kicked in. So I just kind of threw all my eggs in one basket, because I'd only been self-employed since the August before, so got 0 support from the government, like basically just lost my income overnight. So very quickly pivoted into online coaching, and have spent like the last 12 months like really, really nailing down the systems that are involved with online coaching, to the point now where I feel I probably get better results with online coaching than in-person coaching, just because you can control and monitor a lot more, because I've had to create a system where I'm looking at people's sleep, their nutrition, their training, their stress. Like it's looking at the whole holistic picture now, rather than just, right, I'm being stood there and making sure you're training hard, but there's 168 hours in a week. If you see me for 2 hours, you've got 166 hours to really, really mess up all the hard work we're doing kind of in the gym. So yeah, that's kind of my career in a nutshell, really.
Great. And I know obviously the PT, and certainly online PT, is a huge part. And I think the exciting thing about online PT is that your earnings and your ability to help a lot of people, you haven't kind of got that limitation by time. You can now kind of really scale that, which is, I think, is exciting. But one of the things I know just through our kind of past interaction, I've been impressed by, is that from a kind of community-led perspective, you're doing a hell of a lot as well. So you've created the garage gym group, home gym group, you've got your podcasts. It'd be great to hear a little bit more about that.
Yes, so the actual owner of the Home Gym UK like group, the guy who originally created it, is one of my clients. So he came to me, was seeing me like face to face, and when he originally like spoke about the group, there was like 100, 200 people in it. So I joined the group, was like interacting in there. It was basically like, because this was in March No. Yeah, like April, September, like 2019. So it was basically like a Mirror Fit fan club. Everybody in there was the orange and black. But as it kind of started to grow and they needed more admins, he basically asked me to kind of like come on board. So I came on board. As the group's grown and as companies like yourself at Recharge have expanded, like there's a lot more opportunities now within those sort of kind of like fields. And it's not just like somebody kind of like has a monopoly, because you've got more and more people coming into the market and actually making the marketplace in the UK much, much better and much more competitive. Which is one thing that I've seen over the last 2 years that's been really, really good to see, because basically it was everyone arguing about two different like suppliers, whereas now there's a lot more names in the mix, which just means everybody's got their game.
Well. I think if you provide good products, good service, you really do grow in terms of your kind of brand reputation. And I think we had certainly like a little proud moment. So I guess over the course of the last year, you know, we've won awards, we've had loads of reviews, it's all been great. But actually just seeing a kind of conversation that we weren't a part of within that group, kind of saying, oh, these Recharge guys are great, you should check them out. And then someone else commenting saying, oh yeah, I bought this off them and I bought that off them. And we're like, oh, that's quite nice to see. Just kind of feels quite rewarding. And I'm sure these conversations take place quite a lot, but actually being able to kind of observe in a group that I was already involved in, people saying nice things, you're like, yeah, smashing it. Yeah,
it's one of those where I think there's a number of, well, basically when he created the Home Gym UK, there was no UK home gym groups on Facebook. That's why it was created. Whereas now there's about 4 or 5 that are all over like 10,000 each. But if you go and look at the members that are on them, they're all the same kind of like people. So I think it's a really good forum for people to, one, go and just check the reputability of companies, because there have been a lot of pop-up brands that are either scamming people or they're just not doing their job properly with like their customer service, etc.
Horror stories.
And
pretty shocking.
People are pretty quick to call them out online, and then they don't like it when you've got a forum of 10,000 people and somebody's going, right, I got rubbish customer service here. Don't go and buy from them. Like one company that we had an issue with was, I think it was Pro Plates, which was like a fabricator. I think what happened is they spent a shed load on Facebook advertising, got a hell of a lot of orders come through in one go, and they just couldn't keep up with demand. So they were just, it was just some of the stories of like, they were over promising and under delivering, whereas I find the best companies do the opposite. They will under promise and over deliver in terms of their customer service and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the podcast came about just because the same questions would always come up within these groups about like health and fitness. And one of the problems with asking an internet forum about training and fitness questions is you will have something you're slightly confused about, you will ask a question, and then you will get 100 different answers, which means you're even more confused than you were before. And what tends to happen is people will look for the things that they already believed. So they'll just carry on doing what they were doing. They're not actually looking to change anything. It's confirmation bias. So me and some of the other admins were like, we're just getting sick of these same questions coming up each week. Shall we just do a Q&A and answer some of these so that people are actually getting like some professional opinions? So me and myself, Dan, started us up as a Q&A. Literally, we recorded it just like this and we just put it into the group. But from there, then people were asking, right, can we have like an audio only version so I can listen when I'm in the car, etc. So I had to do the research on like hosting and how to put a podcast and everything together. And it's gone through a couple of different iterations now, but I'm happy with how everything's going.
Yeah, I've certainly enjoyed the episodes I've listened to. I think in terms of your comment around seeing people kind of spouting either rubbish or kind of saying the same things, we need to really like be careful as a brand, because Grant and I both are like really passionate people. When you see, say, a B-list celebrity selling a magic pill, it really grinds, because I want to help people, but is it our place as a brand? And we need to be professional to kind of go, stop talking shit. But it's not really our place to say that, but it's hard. It does pain me, which actually might lead on.
You've got to remember some of these guys have probably got very expensive lawyers as well. So
absolutely. That maybe leads us on actually to our first into the killer question zone. So, Grant, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, definitely. So, Deej, I mean, I know we will probably all agree, fitness sort of sector as an industry, fitness industry, there's some really positive things happening and lots of people doing some good things. What is it that you particularly sort of hate about the sector? Is there anything in particular that you actually hate about it?
There's a very low barrier to entry. So there's no governing body. So if you want to call yourself a GP, you have to go and achieve a certain level of qualification, and then you have a governing body that's a protected term, a general practitioner. So if somebody just decides to start calling themselves one and they get caught out with it, they'll be handed some hefty fines and basically all hell will break loose. However, Doris down the road can lose 2 stone doing Slimming World and decide, right, I'm a health coach now. Yeah. And go sign up with any of these services that promise results where it's, a franchise. So they'll get all the stuff kind of done for them. They have no clue when it comes to nutrition or training or how to deal with people. And they can just set up as like a health practitioner. Yeah. So yeah, it's a very, very low barrier to entry. And it just means that people really have to do their research before handing their money over to somebody to make sure that the person that's in front of them and what they're claiming is actually true.
Deej, I'm a little bit worried that we're going to get an onslaught of messages from Doris PTs. So let's wait and see.
And then, so what would you say then is like the biggest mistake then that you see? So obviously based on what you've said about the sector, what you hate about it, the sort of there's no entry level sort of barrier. What would you say the sort of the common mistakes or the sort of the biggest mistakes that you see there?
From a personal training point of view, so like other trainers, or from clients?
Well, maybe from sort of. Well, give us about a few different sort of situations there. So from a personal trainer, but then sort of maybe people who are new to the gym game and want to get in shape or lose weight.
Okay.
Mistakes do they commonly make, would you say?
So in terms of like people who are new into kind of getting into fitness, the most common thing I think I see is like thinking it's just like, right, I can just join a gym and I can just do a circuit of the weight machines and the results that I want will just come like that. Like the gym is a skill. Exercise is a skill. Being in a calorie deficit for a period of time is a skill. They all take time to learn and time to master. So the best example I can give is like when you learn to drive, you don't just buy a car, jump behind the steering wheel and go and take your test. You go and you learn the theory, you get a driving instructor and you have somebody show you this pedal does this pedal does that. You need to do this, this, and this in that order until it becomes habit, till it becomes, you don't have to think about it anymore. Whereas people just think that they can join a gym or they can buy a squat rack at home and they'll just instinctively be able to put that bar over their shoulders and perform a perfect squat, when you'll know from seeing some of the videos and stuff that you see on Instagram and Facebook that it's not always that easy. Some people will be naturally gifted and be able to do that. Other people, it's going to need a little bit more time, a little bit more patience, and maybe a little bit of tutoring. So yeah, I'd say from like a client point of view, that's the biggest mistake I see people make, is they think that it's going to be dead easy. I think the thing from a coach's point of view is new coaches, again, thinking that they know everything and being very, very rigid in their approach. It's like, right, keto is the way forward. And then all of their clients move on to keto. Or it's flexible dieting is the way forward. And every single client that they've got then moves across to there. Or it's, right, we're going to start doing HIIT training. Like that's the new thing. And whereas as you get older and more experienced, what you'll find is like client A, like might be better on a low carbohydrate diet, whereas client B might be better on a higher carbohydrate diet because they don't cope well with low carbs. Client C might be better doing more strength work, whereas client D might be better off incorporating a little bit of HIIT training. It's not like one size fits all and thinking like there's a magic pill or a magic potion for everyone. It's learning to identify this person, their needs and their goals, and okay, how do I adapt my program to fit this person better?
I do think as well, when you've got, say, keto as an example, it's a really great tool for a lot of people, but it isn't magic. You know, you're reducing your calories down, and I think some people that tend to follow that really, really endorse it, and it's the only way to go. So I can certainly see there when you kind of got a coach that practices that and it works for them and maybe a few others, doesn't necessarily mean it's the best option for everyone. So I think that's a really good point.
Yeah. Okay, so this is going to put you on the spot a little bit. The next one. So knowing what you know now and the sort of experience that until right now, the age you are, what would you give your 18-year-old self? You know, what would you say to your 18-year-old self, knowing what you know now?
Put your ego aside and get an Audible subscription.
Nice, mate.
Yeah.
I can relate to both of those. Only because I know when I was 18, probably keeping up with people like Grant, but he'd be there in the gym banging out reps on 100. And I'd be like, yeah, no, I can do it. And I've just got the terrible technique. And Audible for me has been a godsend. I plowed through a load of books, but I just listened to it, put it on 1.3 times speed, get an extra 30% productivity boost, and go for a run, go for a walk. I love it.
Yeah, I think I didn't really discover audiobooks until I was 23, 24. Like I was trying to still, like, I'm not a reader. I'm a very audio learner, which is why audiobooks and podcasts and stuff work so well for me, because I can be listening and it just kind of goes in. Whereas when I read, I've got a very short attention span. So reading a book is really, really hard for me. So yeah, I've probably consumed more books in the past 2 to 3 years with Audible than I have for the entirety of my life before that.
Cool. Right, mate, we're going personal now. So the next 3 questions. Body part, what are you most proud of? Keep it clean.
Probably my arms at the moment. I've been working really hard for the last like 12 months on building some biceps, just because in my posing, my triceps used to massively overpower my biceps, because when I was in my early 20s, I was obsessed with bench pressing. So my triceps have always been like a hell of a lot bigger than my biceps. So when I signed up with my latest coach, he looked at my physique and went, right, we need to bring up your shoulders and your arms. So literally I've been training, I've had an arms day in my routine for the last 12 months, which I had never had before. Same thing so it was delts and arms was an extra day.
Nice. And you're based in Grantham, aren't you?
Yes.
So which way is it to the beach from there? No, I'll see
that
way. Right, mate. This is maybe a difficult one, and appreciate you kind of as much honesty as possible. Insecurity wise, body. Because I think it's really important that we've got people clearly in good shape like yourself, but you still probably have little bits that you want to work on more and that you're not that happy with. And I think that's important to see.
Yeah.
I think it's easy to paint a picture.
So for me, it's my chest. So genetically, that's where I hold body fat. So I am a natty athlete, so I don't take any sort of PEDs. But once my body fat gets above like 12, 13%, it looks like I've got gyno. Just because I literally hold body fat like under here where like man boobs would be. So yeah, that's probably my biggest insecurity.
That's really good to share. And I think actually you touched on a really good point there in that genetically people are different. So when you're looking at people, I certainly, even myself, even though I know this, I'll look at, in our industry, we're working with kind of influencers and people in great shape. I'm like, geez, I work so hard. I don't look like that. But you can't be comparing yourself to other people. One, you don't know how they've got there, but also genetically, you will have different abilities to kind of gain amounts of muscle, and also where things like body fat, where that's kind of placed on your body. And so I think it's good to know you've kind of got something that you're not overly happy with, or certainly you've got a bit of an insecurity there, even though you're in great shape.
Yeah, I think I think it's a really common misconception, as you said, that people think like bodybuilders and fitness coaches and everything like that, they've got great body confidence, that they're confident, and like that stuff that's said by people kind of doesn't get to people like that. And everyone's human. Everyone's got insecurities. Everyone's got things that they don't like about themselves, and actually it can be a lot worse when you're in the public eye. If somebody kind of calls that out, because you also know there's however many thousands of other people that must also be thinking the same thing.
I imagine as well for bodybuilders, certainly there's potentially an additional pressure in that when you're stepping on stage, you're at a body percentage that I've never been anywhere near, which I imagine is somewhere like 6 to 8%, maybe even lower for some people.
Be lower. You're a professional bodybuilder, you're looking at like 3 to 4%.
There we go. But that's not something that is necessarily healthy or something you would maintain around. So people see pictures of you absolutely shredded to the hills, and then they kind of see you in a still very good shape, but maybe around, I don't know what percent you are now, but slightly higher percent than you would be when you're stepping on stage. You kind of feel like you almost need to always be looking in that way, but it's just not feasible or healthy, is it?
Yeah, so stage weight for me is about 70 kilos and I'm about 5'7". So I just remember I'm in the nice part of prep at the moment, which is where I've got that initial puppy fat off.
Yeah.
But we've still got probably 5 or 6 kilos until it starts to really, really start to grind you down. But yeah, when you are
body fat wise, you think?
Sitting about 78 kilos. So I've definitely added on some mass. I have no idea what my stage weight's going to be. It's been 2 years since I've competed now, and they've just taken away the weight categories in the federation that I compete in. It's now on a height category. So I'm not chasing a particular number anymore. I'm chasing a look. I need to be more shredded than I was last time, because my glutes and everything needed to come in. However, I've added mass. So I don't know whether I'll be around the 70 kilos mark or whatever it is. And this is why, especially if somebody's competing, having a second set of eyes that is experienced and knows the level you need to be at. Because as soon as you get down to like that 6-7% mark, you think you're ready, but you're not. You're really not.
Yeah, sure. Cool. Right, mate, some stats then. This is a very like bro question, but your 3 big lifts. What are you kind of lifting on the deads, bench, and squats?
For how many reps? So obviously I'm a bodybuilder, so everything.
You can choose.
Okay. I haven't done like a 1 rep max or a 3 rep max test in probably about 4 or 5 years. But bench I can do 105 for a set of like 8.
Nice.
Squat is probably the weakest of the 3. I could do 150 for a 6, and then deadlift it was 180 for a 8. I think it was last time I went up that high.
I mean, pound for pound as well, because you're not kind of massively heavy. You're probably similar weight to me, but that's a serious amount of strength in not a lot of body weight. Nice work.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Sorry, mate.
Okay. Right, I'll take the next one then. So this doesn't necessarily have to be the fitness industry still here, but who would you say is your biggest inspiration then?
What, as in just like life in general, or?
It could be someone that you look up to from a bodybuilding point of view, or it could just be someone that's sort of, I suppose, being by your side when you've gone through some of your sort of, I don't know, worst days or whatever.
So for me, I don't know if you ever heard of Eric Thomas. It's called the Hip Hop Preacher. So I remember being at university, I can't remember if I graduated or if I hadn't, and he used to put out this thing called TGIM, which thank God it's Monday. Obviously playing on the TGIF of thank God it's Friday, but it's thank God it's Monday, and he is a motivational speaker. He's gone on to become, I think, the #1 motivational speaker in the world. But yeah, it's a guy, I think he was born in Detroit. One of his things is it took him like 12 years to get a 4-year degree. So he's not the most like academically gifted. He's not got much going for him. He's a black guy living in America. So the whole system is set out to see him fail. So if he's been able to overcome all those obstacles and still get to where he is, like me in my slightly privileged position, I've got no excuses as to why I can't, one, choose a dream, and two, chase it. So yeah, he's definitely been a big influence on me.
Great.
Nice. I like that. Okay, so going back to social media now, who should we as a brand be following right now that you would say gives out, whether that's good quality content or whether sort of just, again, inspirational, or who should we be following right now?
So bodybuilding wise, James Hollingshead. I think he's doing amazing things for the British bodybuilding scene. Obviously, he is not natural. I think he's 300 pounds and
Jesus.
can deadlift like 8 plates a side or something like that. So he's ridiculously strong, but he's very, very humble as a character as well. So I really, really like him.
Hollingshead.
James Hollingshead. In terms of like PT content and stuff, my business mentor, Steve, what's his surname? I think his Instagram handle's like Steve Gets Results Training. Like his business is GRT Training or Get Results Training.
When we post this, mate, we'll just comment and we'll add his tag to it so people can find him.
No worries. But yeah, so he's an ex-teacher, took his own business from like nothing to like 6-figure turnover in like a year. I know that's a big buzzword at the moment, but I followed him because him and my old actual like coach for my coaching, they're both based in Manchester, and I've basically seen his business grow over the last year. And he got into business mentoring the beginning of this year, and I was looking for a new business mentor, so I just signed up with him just because he gets amazing results and he knows how to teach properly. Whereas some of the other business courses I've been on, like the person's got a lot of information, they just don't know how to structure it so that, right, you're at week 1, you should know this, you're at week 2, you should know this, you're at week 3, you should know this. So by the end of the 12 weeks, you should be able to do X, Y, Z. And that's what I've really liked about this one.
Yeah, we check him out, definitely.
Yeah.
What about any sort of influencers? Any of those that you think that put out some good content that is like genuine and real, that could be of use to sort of certainly our followers, that they should maybe be following?
I'm just trying to think. I'm one of these people where I've got quite a one-track mind, so I don't sit and scroll Instagram a lot, so I don't consume a lot of content. It's literally go on, post.
You read every single bit of content we create, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Cool. That's fine. If there's no one that sticks out to your mind, then that's cool. Okay, talk us through what your future ambitions are like. Where do you sort of perceive yourself, whether that's 2, 3, 5 years down the line? Where are you going?
Indeed, I think it'd be really good actually to just touch on the Alpha program, because I think that's really interesting and certainly a very specific offering that not lots of people have that kind of pointed focus.
Yeah. So like my big thing for me, my vision is I want to help 1,000 guys reach their true potential. So I've created something called the True Alpha program, which is all about becoming stronger mentally, physically, and just kind of bringing back that family unit as well. So I find a lot of men, particularly I speak to, feel a little bit lost, like they've lost their tribe, just because life tends to take over. We tend to want to provide for our families. We tend to forget that actually it's very, very important to still be part of communities and around people that have got similar goals and ambitions to ourselves. And our own goals tend to go on the back burner. So most of the guys in my program will happily skip dinner with the family because they've got a project to do, or they feel like their main role is to be that provider, whereas actually it's all about teaching people to, yes, you do need to provide, yes, you do need to be the best you can be in terms of your career. However, your kids are only going to be kids for so long. Your wife's only going to stick around and be ignored for so long. So finding that balance where you can be fit and healthy, which is going to make you more productive, by spending some time on yourself and working on yourself, both mentally and physically, means you're going to get so much more out of the time that you spend in the office or that you spend at home kind of with your kids as well. So yeah, it's just the next 3 to 5 years is going to be really, really building and expanding this program and trying to help as many guys as I can kind of reach those goals.
Nice. And you're open for business, aren't you?
Program directly through your link, I'm guessing, can they, on your bio? Is that right?
Yeah, so I'm quite selective about the people that come on board. So I do have a selection process, so they can apply for a spot. If they go to the link on my bio, it says kind of like apply here. So honestly, if I don't think I would be a good fit for them as a coach, or they wouldn't be a good fit for the team, I won't just sell to people just because I'm not that kind of coach.
I think that's amazing, mate. I think yeah, we'll definitely provide a link and allow people to find you and hopefully to get in touch. Right, mate, really good chatting today. I think we're about to lose this this meeting slot, but yeah, it was a good chat, mate. We're going to finish with your signature pose, if you can, just to see people off with a bit of a gun.
Signature pose, what there?
There we are. Good man, good man. Right, anyway, good chatting, bud, and we'll speak soon, all right?
No worries. I'll speak to you guys again soon.
Bye, mate.
No worries. Bye for now.
Bye.